Okay, let's get into this. We're going to unpack a narrative that is just. It's deeply unsettling. It takes this idea of generational trauma, that heartbreak, and it plants it in a landscape that is literally demanding a price.
And that price is blood. This isn't just about a failing family. It's a failing farm with a horrifying active appetite.
So for this deep dive, we're tracing the psychological journey of the narrator, a man who's forced back into this abusive life that he just desperately wanted to escape.
He's gone from being this, soft-handed city boy trying to settle some credit card debt
Right.
to becoming the heir to a blood debt that is so much more terrible than anything a bank could dream up.
And the groundwork for this horror, it was laid decades ago. The whole story is really seated in a childhood nightmare.
It really is. I mean, what drives him home isn't love. It's this deep, old wound from his father's abuse. He wants to prove he isn't useless. It's a classic trauma response.
And the land itself holds that seed of terror. We start with that core memory from when he was 7. He's chasing a rabbit, and he watches it just slip. It disappears into what he describes as a gray, pink, veiny pit, which was slick like raw flesh.
Ugh.
And then there's the sound, a wet tearing sound. Just imagine carrying that with you.
It's the perfect setup. That pit isn't just some hole in the ground. It's the physical manifestation of all the rot in his life. The father was constantly calling him pig boy, slapping him.
Leaving him out in the frost by the grain silo for spilling slop.
Exactly. That kind of abuse, it creates this need, this endless striving for an approval that you know is never, ever going to come.
So when the call comes from Ruth, the neighbor, saying his estranged father is sick, he can't ignore it. It's like the ultimate test. Can he go back, fix the farm, and finally prove he's useful?
I think it's that, but it's also mixed with this false idealism his mother gave him. We help people even when they don't deserve it. That's what makes you better than them.
A noble thought.
But that idea is about to be ground into the dirt. When he gets there, the contrast is just so stark. He's the city boy, soft hands, arriving in this rusted, broken down place that feels smaller and just meaner.
And his father's broken too. Frail, shoulders shrunk, skin's all gray. There's a smear of dried blood under his nose.
And for a split second, the narrator feels it, a flicker of pity.
Yes, his own humanity is trying to surface, but then the memory hits him of being dragged by the collar by this same man, and that pity it burns out instantly.
The resentment is right back on the stove, boiling over. The father just barks at him, sneers at his hands.
But then, and this is what's so insidious, things start to shift, slowly, painfully. It feels almost more manipulative than the straight-up abuse.
It's the illusion of reconciliation. It reels him in.
It's built in these tiny little details.
Yeah.
They hit you hard. Like by the 4th day, they're working on the Riffield fence together, and his father's hands are guiding his. Then he hears this grunt. Clever fingers.
It's the closest thing to affection he's ever heard from him, and it sounds almost genuine.
It's emotional bait. And then the tractor backfires, and his father lets out this warm laugh. A sound he hasn't heard since he was a little kid.
It humanizes the monster just enough for him to drop his guard.
And he falls for it completely. The father says, "Good job," after the fence posts are said, and the narrator feels, and I'm quoting, something close to pride.
Think about that. Years of running, building a new life, and all it takes is one rough, good job from his abuser to feel validated.
He's not just fixing the farm. He's trying to fix the hole in himself that his father carved out.
But underneath this fragile truce, the nightmare is starting to bubble up again. Sleeping in his old room, the smell of hay dust and varnish, it all comes rushing back. And then he notices the chore.
The father's secret chore.
The dark undercurrent becomes real. Every other day, his father leads a goat described as quiet and bleeding out toward the marshland. And he always comes back alone, pale, distant.
And if you're the narrator, working yourself to the bone to fix everything you can see, this ritual, this inexplicable secret, it must be deeply unsettling.
So he asks him about it. And the father's response is so telling. It's just old farm work you wouldn't understand.
He's not just hiding a chore. He's reinforcing that some duties are sacred and horrific. It's a burden, and it's crushing him.
You can see it on him. The next time he goes to do it, his hands are trembling violently. His eyes are dull and wet. He's fighting a war inside himself, but he refuses help.
He has to carry this alone. But, the body always gives out eventually.
And it does. The narrator, driven by a mix of worry and sheer curiosity, he follows him. He finds the goat wandering free.
And his father is just crumpled in the mud near the cattails, too weak to finish the task, The breaking point has finally arrived.
And that forces the confession. As his father recovers in that old armchair, the story pivots from this, grim domestic horror into something else entirely, something cosmic.
He explains the land was failing, crops were rotting, the hens stopped laying.
And he connects it all back to the narrator's childhood. He says after that rabbit fell into the pit, the rye field miraculously came up green again.
Which establishes the land not just as poor soil, but as an active, malevolent entity. The dead is no longer emotional, it's a blood tribute.
The father admits he tested it. When the land started to fail again years later, he sacrificed an old billy goat over the hole. And the result?
The wheat stood tall, the land came back to life. The horrible, unspoken rule of this farm is finally spoken.
And he'd learned its preferences through trial and error, which is just a chilling detail. It doesn't want old carcasses, no roadkill. That makes the land turn sour.
No, the requirement is much more specific. It needs, quote, fresh blood boy, warm, just killed, or still kicking.
That immediacy, the necessity of a living sacrifice, that is the true horror.
And with his last bit of strength, the father passes the burden to his son. The directive is simple and chilling. You will need to keep it fed now.
The man who ran away is now chained to the horror. And what's wild is how quickly he accepts this duty. It's like his father's pragmatism starts to take root in him almost immediately.
He takes his first sacrifice, a goat, wrestling into the edge of the marsh. And the pit. It's changed.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the gray-pink thing from his nightmare. It's darker now, streaked with red-brown. There's a thick, yellowish slime weeping from its seams. The stench is just overpowering.
And his soft city hands, they fail him. He can't bring himself to slit the goat's throat.
So he just heaved it forward, pushes the duty away even as he's committing the act.
And he watches the pit convulse and swallow the goat in one twitching gulp. And the result is immediate. The farm thrives. The rice stands taller. The calves are born with bright eyes.
The sacrifice works. And in that, the narrator finally finds a purpose. His body sickens, gets stronger. He is at last proving he isn't useless. The pride he wanted is now his, but it's paid for with fresh blood.
The irony is just crushing. He's gained everything his father denied him, validation, purpose, a place on the land, but he had to adopt the very same cruelty to get it. He starts seeing someone he almost respected in the mirror.
A reflection of his father.
Exactly. But that new pride is built on a foundation that is just about to completely collapse.
It cracks on one damp morning. He's hauling a dead ewe. He slips, and his hands just slap down hard into the flesh rim, slick and hot.
Ugh, the sensory detail there.
As he pushes himself up, he sees it. A scrap of cloth, half buried in that thick yellow slime.
And this is it. This is the moment the physical horror of the pit collides head-on with the emotional violence of his entire life.
He rubs the slime away, and the color shines through. Red. It's a piece of the red ribbon his mother used to wear in her hair, the one she was wearing the last morning he ever saw her.
That realization must be like a psychological implosion, just total system failure.
The memory of her laugh, a sound he'd lost for years, it twists into the pulsing, sucking sound beneath me. This isn't just grief anymore, it's rage. It's the terrifying knowledge that his entire life has been built on a murder.
He doesn't even wait. He just storms to the poplar grove where the little wooden crosses stood for years. He digs.
Frantically, and finds nothing but dry earth below.
The grave is empty. All the abuse, the beatings, the abandonment, the nightmares, it all crystallizes into this one singular physical act of betrayal.
He confronts his father, holding the soiled ribbon, and the old man, caught in his armchair, he finally confesses everything. She was going to leave, call the police, and he couldn't let the land die because this land, it's in my blood.
He prioritized the farm's survival over his own family. He admits he pushed her, broke her neck, and then, in this act of pure, desperate horror, he dragged her out and fed her to the pit to bring the crops back.
And his justification is the most monstrous part. He says, she would have forgiven me. She always forgave me.
That denial is the final straw. The narrator's rage, it isn't hot anymore. It's described as molten and unstoppable, but it's cold, it's precise.
He grabs the frail man's wrist, yanks him up, and just starts dragging him across the dirt and the mud, replicating the exact same lack of mercy his father showed his mother.
In that moment, he has become his father. He's using the rules of that house against its master. When the old man pleads, "I'm your father," the son's response is the perfect mirror image of the trauma.
He asks him, what did Mom say? Did she beg you to?
Did you give her any mercy?
And then he shoves him. The man who murdered his mother, who ruined his life, into the pulsating pit. It catches him for a half-second on the fleshy rim.
And then he's gone, dragged down with that same sickening, wet sucking sound.
The cycle is complete. But it's not justice. It's just the necessary violence to keep the land alive. The silence that follows, the folds of the pit sealing over. It's not peace. It's a horrifying transformation.
It's the end of one generation of cruelty and the absolute beginning of the next.
And the final self-realization that we're left with is just so bleak. He says, I was more like my father than I ever thought. The work, the duty, the pride in the farm, it was stronger than the trauma, stronger than the need for justice. The escape artist became the jailer.
And the executioner. He returned to escape financial debt and found himself shackled by a debt of blood. He finally found his purpose, but only by becoming the thing he hated most.
It really makes you wonder. We're all pulled back to the patterns of our past, driven by duty or identity. And if your survival, psychological or otherwise, demands an immoral cost, what piece of yourself are you willing to sacrifice to keep your field green? What does it mean when the purpose you find in that duty starts to feel better than the horror it requires?